Alrighty, so for our last item in this week 3 Monday is actually what we're working towards for this week and for future weeks when you're coding along. And we're going to be doing it in the editor and then doing the GitHub workflow to actually push our code to GitHub or doing the Git workflow. And that is what you're going to see almost for every week from here on out, is the way you handle showing that you're coding along. Okay, so let me actually go into the items that you're going to be working on. So this Learn HTML and CSS for Beginners is a new video series I'm using. I've used Travis C. Media before. He's great, but this is an updated one as of this year, and I find it really good. But at this very beginning, and this is the key, is you watch the first 30 minutes and you not just watch it, you code along with him. And he's going to install some extensions in the browser. You don't have to do that. It's really up to you if you find you want to. But I'm actually going to show you what you'll do once you've gotten through to the 30-minute mark. But let me just show you, is that you'll watch it all the way, right? You'll watch and follow along until the 30-minute mark, and then you can stop because you're going to submit your file now. And then next week for part 2, we'll pick it up at that 30-minute mark and watch 30 minutes more. Okay? So there's a couple things I want to show you. Like I said before, but I'm going to move back over to Windows, is that you don't have to install all of the extensions, and this is here that he does to look at the files and to make it look prettier. Although I like prettier, I think that's a good way to do it. Nothing wrong with that. So you're welcome to do it, but you're not required to. But what I want to show you is, now that I've coded this in here, and I've shown you before how we navigate to the folder, I'm going to first navigate to this, back to this folder, so we can do the Git workflow. But I'm also going to show you how to actually view this in the browser, because he shows it a little differently, and he installs something called Live Server. If you were taking my JavaScript class, I definitely recommend using that. But for this, we can do something very simple. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop the built-in terminal. And the reason I'm going to do that is that it's just going to reset it to run when I do new terminal again into that subdirectory, the base directory, like I showed before. And now, because I'm working in the private repo, right? So now I'm going to go reo fccw. Private, right? Because remember, all lectures are done in the private. And now I'm gonna, if I remember, if I don't, I do ls. I'm gonna do lectures tab cd, and I don't even have to type dir. Dir is the list of folders, or folder/files. But in here, ls, if I wanted, I looked at, there's that one HTML file. But what's happened is I've modified the file, and this is what you will do as you're coding along. And then what you do is do the Git workflow. So I'm going to do Git status, and it's going to show me that I've modified this file, which totally makes sense, right? Again, because we, it's wanting to pull up my Mac side. I just want to show you again what we're about to do, is we're about to do this workflow, so that on your, not on your public, but this time on your private repo, just between you and I, okay, right here, we now have this file right here. This is the starting file, and this is what he creates, right? He also, and he names the folder something different, but you go ahead and do the way I've shown to do it here. But it's the same basic idea of you create he calls his projects, and the course, and then the project, but you can do it this way. And I just want to show you, this is the old version, right? This is before the coding that I did by coding along with him. Okay, so now that I've noticed I have a file that's been modified, I do git add, and I can either again do start or that specific file. I'm going to do git commit -m, and I'm going to say code along with HTML, CSS tutorial, first 30 minutes. Okay, and then next time you can do for whichever, and well, I'll probably show that or at least have some writing when we do the next one. Now, again, if I wanted to use up arrow, I could see my get status is a different. Now there's nothing to commit. I've already committed it, but what I need to do is do a get push. Push my changes so that I can submit my file up into, and now here, again, I didn't wait on that side, but I want to show you because I know it's, well, I think it's done. I'm going to hit refresh and I should see that updated and I can see that message. Okay, so what you can do here, and actually I'm going to have you submit a link for the folder. Now, why am I doing it this way? Let me show you. I'm going to back up and hit HTML, CSS. Okay, and the reason I'm going to have you do the folder is that over time, especially as we add the CSS, there'll be different files here, and I can see, and by the way, I can also see commits here, right? And then what I'll have you do here is just copy this, and then in this item right here, right? Again, I'm looking at it as a teacher. You will see it something different. You will see a red button that says submit assignment, and then you will get that URL or that web. Remember, because in order to submit this, you submit a web URL, and then you can hit submit once you've done it. All right. So again, what we're doing is building up to doing this HTML here. So I've shown you how to do, again, follow along. You don't have to do the extensions, although if you want to, please go ahead. Oh, that's what I forgot to show you. I'm glad I remembered. The last thing I want to show you is actually how to look at this rendered in a web page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and you can do this for whatever operating system, I'm going to bring up the Explorer. The Explorer window, then, inside of here, I'm going to go to my desktop where I have my folder. Glad I remembered this. Okay, remember this was in the private, under lectures, under CSS. Now, HTML and CSS. So now what I can do, now it's going to, I can tell by looking at it, it's going to open in Internet Explorer. I can just right click and say open with, and I'm going to say Chrome. Now you can open it again with whatever browser. The nice thing here is you look at that file rendered, and then as he does this, as he codes something like here, again, I showed you how to do the auto save here so that you automatically save, and what that does, now that you've made a change, again, we don't have to do the workflow, I'm just showing you here what you would do is refresh, and then that whatever code you've done will show up once you hit refresh, and that's a very common cycle. The other thing you can do is make this a little smaller so that you can have your output like he does on one window or one side, and then have this on the other. And one easy way you could do once you're coding is just to drop the Explorer. Then that gives you a little more room, and you can resize that the way you want it. It's a little harder for me because of my virtual environment to show this, because it starts to think I'm trying to go off the edge a little bit. Yeah, see, it's going to resize the whole thing. But you get the idea, is that you can do this. I'm just showing you ways to kind of make this a little easier and a little more the way he's going to do things. Okay? All right. Hope you enjoy this assignment, and I'll talk to you soon.